Hey everyone, this is Louis7, and today we'll be taking a journey through the Angle of Mitheithel zone, which is coming to the Lord of the Rings Online in Update 32 and is currently in beta. So for an overview of this zone, it's in the southern portion of Trollshaws, just south of the Trollshaws zone, and in this journey, I will be starting from the northwest part of the zone around the last bridge between Lowlands and Trollshaws, and then moving through the zone south and then following the road to the east towards the Fort of Bruinen, connecting to the eastern part of the Trollshaws that this zone connects to, and then finally heading back down southwest following actually the river, the Fort of Bruinen, towards the southwest, and then coming back up to the northwest part of the zone. Alright, so back to the actual journey. We are just entering the zone here, and the first thing we see is the path splits into their ruins on the right to the west, and then there's going to be the path we are taking on the left. Now, the first thing we go through here is this little bit of a valley between rocks, and the first thing I really noticed with this zone, one is the blending with the Trollshaws and a little bit of Eregion, but also there is some fog in the zone, which I do find to be quite interesting, but I'm not 100% sure on my thoughts on it. But anyway, getting back to the journey that we have going on here, this is a pretty nice view of just the variety of landscape that I think the entire zone has. We get a big hit of it early in this journey, and there are some wide open parts, even without trees, some hilly parts, some relatively flat parts. There is actually a nice waterfall, and of course, plenty of water, flowing water, rivers, streams, creeks, and all that sort of stuff. Also, different color trees, variety of color, just like Trollshaws, and a variety of type of trees that we also happen to have in Trollshaws. And then the more open parts is what I kind of consider where it starts to blend with sort of the Eregion style. You also see a lot of elven themes. This is around 2 elven zones with, of course, Eregion and the Trollshaws and all that. Another nice waterfall and river. Now, one thing I will point out is you might notice there's a lot of shrubbery and stuff on the ground floor up. And it is true that that stuff will occasionally block the camera. Unfortunately, I can't do much about it now, so hopefully it's not too annoying. Also notice the nice cloudy blue, just Eriador sky is nice to see again after being in, say, in Gundabad in the north for so long, or just the Dorburn areas. This is also a higher elevation area. We just saw a nice view of the southern part of the zone a little bit. And this is just a nice path, I think, leading up. We're getting kind of close. At this point, we can actually see, Gwingris off in the distance, the northwestern part of Eregion, that elf camp. And there's a neat little valley off to the right, some hills to the left, and generally nice trees. So, yes, at this point, we are getting some nice views, but I do want to draw your attention to the tree trunk that is creating a bridge here over the water. You will also notice another piece of ruins just across the bridge. Now, this is where we do run into some trouble, and I think a lot of unfinished parts of the zone. Hopefully this is cleaned up by time the update is released, of course. Perhaps in a couple weeks, mid-February is the current estimate. But yeah, I fell through the tree trunk, which I thought was kind of interesting. And this is our first town that we are getting to. So just for some reference on the map, I know it was brief there, but that is where I was. And we will be continuing on this path until we reach the part of Trollshaws that has always existed before, and seeing how they connect that. Also ran into a random other adventurer that is journeying through the zone, it seems like, and journeying through the connection, which just happens to be, there's a little piece of ruins off to the right we had, but which just happens to be right here. So we're just basically turning around. If you want to explore that more thoroughly or want to see it more thoroughly, I will of course come back to it when the update is released. I did not want to explore every little tiny nook and cranny during this journey because we do have to save some stuff for later. But this was just a general journey throughout the main road, say, of the zone, even though we end up following the Fort of Bruinen River. This is also just a nice little calming, I think, view of what the zone has to offer as well. Not actually moving again. Reference for where we are on the map, and at this point I actually go down the hill. Unfortunately, I forgot to hide my UI at that point, but we went down the hill and following the river now to the southwest, and it just looks like a nice gorge at this point. It does remind me a little bit of the Fort of Bruinen area, but a lot more narrow and a lot less going on in the actual Trollshaws. But we do see some connection from the irony, I guess, orange to the more gray rocks that are featured in Eregion on the Eregion side, rather than the Trollshaws / Angle of Mitheithel side here. And basically just swimming in the river and seeing just what this area has to offer. That is Eregion, the connection to Eregion. Can't quite get up it from the river. This is also a nice view of the pretty flat, wide open area and angle of Mitheithel. Just a nice scene here, I think. Now going through a little bit of a denser part of the zone. Denser as far as trees and vegetation goes. Lots of fog building up here. Here's another open spot, and then we see a shift in the tree type to more of the pine evergreen type trees. But yeah, here's another nice view of the lands. This would actually not necessarily be Eregion anymore, but on the left side of the screen, even just off in the distance, is, I guess that would be west of Eregion, not quite south like Mitheithel territory, but west and maybe a little bit south of Eregion, south of the northwest part. But yeah, fell into the river there, unfortunately, but this is actually good because we can just swim to the coast, and this is a really nice area. And again, following the river will take us where we want to go on this journey. Taking in the scenes again, the Eregion connection. Unfortunately, you cannot. I did try crossing basically every single part of that border, but they had it blocked off. You can see this is actually where I end up showing the map a little bit and where I am. I'm at the bottom part of the angle of Mitheithel, western part of Eregion, and then finally back to the Trollshaws. You see where I am. Have to zoom out to that map. And also pointing out right here is I am those two rivers connect to each other. We're going right to that corner is the actual edge of the zone, which is where we are headed now. This is also a really nice scene, I think, where you could see briefly there a glimpse of, actually it would be south of Lonelands. A pretty neat area we'll get to see more on this side of the journey. That is the end of the zone. It's as far southwest as you can get where the two rivers meet up there. Also swimming back up north, see a nice giant basically mount, it looks like, in the middle of the screen there, and back on my horse, Warsteed. And yeah, headed back up this would be the west side of the zone, the left side from this perspective. And it's just a generally pretty zone. I feel like there's not too much more to say about the general landscape, just taking it in at this point. This is a really nice ride back up north. I don't think I quite appreciated all of it when I was actually going through this, doing the recording. Coming up now on another camp. It's actually, I'd consider this more of a homely village than a camp. It looks to be human, not elvish. It's got a lot of human-like houses. Would be neat to have a housing neighborhood here. I still think that is true with Wildwood. This kind of reminds me of that. A little bit of a spooky fog going on. I wonder what this would look like at night, just speaking of spooky fog, if it actually would be spooky. Okay, so getting out of the camp, these transitions were actually pretty smooth through that, let me call it a village rather, mini town. So this is where I had to remember where to go. So we are not going to take the right path, we're going to take the left path. I believe that was an Ombok, that creature. Haven't seen too many just like wild creatures out and about. It's definitely not as wild as Wildwood, even if it is a similar type update and overall a similar type zone, it seems. But yeah, going through the foggy path here again. Downhill, just some, I don't know, this is just like very gorgeous scenery and distant landscape. At this point, didn't quite have that going the other way. It seemed like everything was more confined and, oops, accidentally rattled the microphone there. Everything was more confined and you didn't have quite as many large distant viewings as we have now. Also, when I was talking about the zone perhaps being a little bit spooky at night, I don't think we quite yet came across these Oathbreakers. There are a lot of Oathbreaker enemies spread throughout this zone, it seems like. I'm not quite sure the lore reason for them being there or why they are there. But they are there, and also at this point we're going to take a turn into the ruins. As I mentioned, don't want to explore every nook and cranny, but this one was interesting enough I thought I would head up here and just see what it has to offer, which it does have really nice views to offer. This was really smooth on the Warsteed. I didn't have to cut the recording up at all to get to this, but have that distant landscape waterfall there. There are some ruins straight up ahead, and even some elvish ruins on the right side of the screen now, and very pretty area there. Unfortunately, that one tree was blocking some of the view. But yeah, we went down from there back up, actually crossed a little bit of a stream, and then going back up towards that first like fork in the road. And this time we were taking the opposite. So at the very beginning, when we could have gone right, this is where this road will eventually lead towards the right path there. This is also a nice little bit more open area, is hilly. Some neat ruins. Now there's a neat feature in this ruins, which is very few enemies, but they look like they are lined up as if they were in a real-time strategy game in RTS. And it makes me wonder what a LOTRO RTS, specifically LOTRO with like LOTRO's world building, environment, enemies, and all that sort of stuff, what a LOTRO RTS would look like. Could be interesting, but probably will never happen. So we are actually getting to the end of the journey here. We'll have one little nice view of, actually that'll be Trollshaws, moving to the last bridge, and then the Lonelands, and even some of the portions of, I'd call it Southern Lonelands just because it's south of Lonelands, but get a really nice view of that and just what it looks like in game as it is now. A view over Hardlog with all the trolls there, and even maybe Weathertop way off in the distance. I can't quite tell from here in the recording, but can see quite far off into the Lonelands. Very nice view from here. Now this is interesting because I did not move my character and I randomly fell, and thus the journey ends. Alright, so for anybody that made it to the end of this journey, I actually have a LOTRO points giveaway, but you do have to do something. You have to message me privately on some sort of platform like Twitter or even Reddit, Discord, or even email me through the email I have on my channel about page. You will have to message me with your answer, but there is something in this zone that you might have noticed or noticed a lack of, at least I did, and I have not talked about it in the video as much as I might want to. So there is a significant lack of a certain something that is in the game and other zones that does not appear to be in this Angle of Mitheithel zone, and if you guess the right answer, then you will be entered into a drawing to win 500 LOTRO points. Just to repeat that, you have to privately message me on some sort of platform or anything and just tell me what is missing in this zone. Now, as far as this video goes and this journey goes, I hope y'all enjoyed it. It was definitely different than the Wildwood one, so I'm not 100% sure on this one either, but I thought there were some pretty neat views of the zone and pretty neat angles of the Mitheithel. If you did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing for more, or becoming a channel member to support the content, and thanks for watching and joining this journey, everyone.